Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. This past Christmas, we had a little bit of fun celebrating and looking back over my wife's childhood and her sisters as they grew up and everything, because my sister-in-law is getting married. And so they were paging through old pictures, and we were laughing about memories and looking at their ridiculous hairstyles and some of the clothes that they had to be, I guess they got put in, right? At least that's what they claim. They didn't choose these things. But it was fun to reflect and laugh. And the one thing that I noticed was that the pervasive theme was good, right? We only talked about, maybe there was one or two oops is in there, but for the most part, we laughed and we had fun looking at and celebrating their childhood and the many things that they were able to do together. And I think that most of the time in our lives, we want to celebrate the good. But if we stop long enough, we can admit that relationships are hard, and that in all relationships, both good and bad exist. And I always say that both good and bad are contagious. We just get to choose which one we give life and which one we allow to spread. So when we sit around and laugh and look at pictures, usually it's always the good. But we don't necessarily do that enough. We don't take the intentional time to do that enough in our relationships. See, in our relationships, we get a chance, we get to choose. And so as we approach Valentine's Day and we go through the month of February and we're reflecting on relationships, I want to take a moment to start a new series called Us. And today we're going to take a moment to look at how do we take our relationships and make sure, how do we ensure that more good exists and grows than the bad? And one of the ways that we can do that is to reflect on a Bible verse in Colossians 3:12 through 17. God gives us this metaphor of clothing. The Message version says it really as clear as it could possibly be. It says, "So chosen by this new life of love, dress in the wardrobe God has picked out for you." Right? We all get to put on clothing, and some of us are the people who choose at night before we go to bed and lay it all out, and others of us have no idea what we're going to wear until we get out of the shower, and then we stand kind of cold and wet, staring at everything as if something new is going to pop into our lives. But either way, we choose. We pick something that we get to put on. And God says this, it says, put on things like compassion, kindness, humility, quiet strength, and discipline. It says, forgive as God forgave you. But regardless of what else you put on, it doesn't really matter if you pick blue, pink, green, orange. Regardless of what else you put on, choose to put on love. Love is your basic all-purpose garment. And so as we consider our relationships and we think through how do we have more moments like this one I had at Christmas where we were just laughing and having fun, how would we do that? And one way that I've learned that I read in a book a long time ago, in a book called The Love List by Les and Leslie Parrott, they have this idea that they say we need to celebrate and we need to be intentional about that. And they tell the story about how Les put together this scrapbook of all these things that they had done in their relationship. Movie tickets, game tickets, significant restaurant receipts, pictures, all of these different things that they had enjoyed together. And then on New Year's Eve, he pulled that out. And they walked through it and they celebrated together. And they didn't reflect on all the things that, like, that one time when you did this or that one time when you forgot this. It was all about these memories that they had created. And they suggest in this book, kind of the checklist concept of this love list is that you do this once a year at the very least. They suggest that you start this new tradition and you start this new habit of reflecting and celebrating. If in your relationships you want to ensure that more good will spread than bad, be intentional about celebrating. Whether it's New Year's, whether it's Christmas, whether it's a birthday or an anniversary, decide for your relationship when you're going to take the intentional time to celebrate. And when you do, reflect on the good Make the good live and make the good contagious. And when you do that, the choice of what wardrobe you're going to put on becomes a lot more easy. You're going to see things like compassion, kindness, humility, and love more often in your relationship if you first choose to celebrate on a regular basis. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to follow us each week, click here to subscribe. And if you want to take it a little bit further, click here for discussion materials.